I'm just gonna forewarn you. If you win against me, I'm gonna stuff the ballot.
Welcome to My Gotta Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's matchup with the Auburn Tigers. It's the Deep South's oldest rivalry, Homecoming Edition. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, if you need help with your website or your online presence, head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs. Now, let's join the conversation in progress.
And we're back.
And we're back for Homecoming against Auburn. Kind of weird.
The the deserted village.
The deserted village comes to Athens. But you know what? Even on Homecoming, John, this is still true.
Yeah. Pizzle. Let's go early. What we do? I like driving in my truck. He likes to drive in his truck. Auburn sucks. Auburn sucks. I like driving in my truck. He likes to drive in his truck. Auburn sucks. Auburn sucks. I like trucks. He likes trucks. I don't care for Auburn. He doesn't care for Auburn. Hoes.
As is tradition, had to open with that on this week.
A tradition like no
A
other.
tradition like no other.
I saw someone on Twitter was like, "It's the best week of the year."
Yeah. So good. So good.
We get to play a noted rival, East Alabama Male College.
There we go. There we go. I forgot to ask. We've been sitting here talking in the podcast before the podcast. Do you have a bourbon tonight?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I'm going with the Eagle Rare.
Uh-oh. You got to hold that back up. We got to show that at the same time. We got the double Eagle Rare.
The double Eagle Rare. Unplanned.
Yeah, unplanned. Excellent choice.
I
Excellent
wish
choice.
I wish I had double Eagle Rare. If you have some, shoot us a message and we'll send you our address. And I would love to sample the double Eagle Rare.
For sure.
The BTAC Eagle Rare I've heard is pretty amazing. But the 10 year is pretty good.
Yeah. I'm a big
It is one of the few bourbons that I can remember buying when I wasn't really into bourbon, like at the time, but I would get bourbon for, shutters at this point, like bourbon and Coke and stuff. And like Eagle Rare would be like on the shelf and it would be like this cool looking bottle with the badass looking eagle on it.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, well, let me upgrade my Maker's Mark or my Woodford and get Eagle Rare.
Right.
And now you can barely find it. Like, gosh darn it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it in North Carolina. I mean, I've bought it, in Georgia. So this one may be one my dad gave me. So shout out Trip Dog. But yeah, not easy to come by. And most things aren't easy to come by from the North Carolina ABC stores. So
You gotta go down the road to the what is the Southern Spirits?
yeah, but like I don't want to do the whole raffle thing. Like, no offense.
They've actually done a little better with some of those things. If you follow them on the socials, like they have like go there and you can hunt for it and kind of stuff. Like they'll have like
Yeah,
hide and seek type
I have
stuff.
seen those. I have seen
They do
those.
have some goofy games that they've done for their allocated bottles, which there's a lot of goofy stuff that happens with allocated bottles, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Eagle Rare is when you can find it, it's pretty solid.
Yeah. And it goes along with one of Auburn's 15 mascots. So I felt like it was made sense for tonight.
It does make sense. And I had a feeling that you might have it as well. So sold.
Probably did that last year. I don't know. I didn't go. I didn't go and check, but probably every year. Every year since you got me into bourbon. So
Can can confirm.
can't confirm. All right. I guess we can let's do the quick matchup rundown. So kickoff is on Saturday at 3:30 Eastern at Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. The Dogs come into this game 3-1 on the season, 1-1 in the SEC. Auburn is 2-3, 0-2 in the SEC. The Dogs are ranked number 5 in both polls, and Auburn is not ranked. This game is on ABC, so we get the Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, and Molly McGrath crew calling this game. And the official hashtag is hashtag AUB versus UGA. The all-time series record, according to us, is 64, 56, and 8. I don't know what Auburn claims it is. I know it doesn't match, which proves that this week it is a rivalry game, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Let's see. Last year, the Dogs won in Auburn 27-20. So that was the very odd, weird start game, like that none of us saw coming, and then we had Brock Bowers kind of do Brock Bowers things at the end, and
Yeah.
do what he did, and I guess kind of save the Dogs last year, and got us a great GIF of Brock Bowers like stroking his chin. That was a good one.
Yeah, fortunately we don't have another road game, so
Right, right.
I don't know that we can handle another road game.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, first time. This will be the first home game I've attended. I wasn't able to make it for Tennessee Tech, so we'll be down there. I went to Clemson, but first home game for the Wood family. Should
Whole
be
family's coming too, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. Everyone who lives in the house. So yeah, Ella will be down at school in Savannah, but yeah. So Kim and I and Lily will be there. And I believe my parents are going. I believe so. We should all be out and about. So say hey if you see us around.
Very fun, very fun.
Everyone will be asking me if I'm Trip Dog's son. You know how things go.
It's also a tradition like no
Yeah.
other.
Seriously.
Um, so I will not be at the game. We have a number of sports activities this weekend. Carter's first baseball tournament of the season is on Sunday, and then Camden has a homecoming cheer competition, and she's going to be like presented, and she's been paired up with a football player, so they're going to do the whole homecoming like super cute cheerleading situation
Gotcha.
on Saturday morning, and then Carter also has a flag football game. So we will be doing kids sports all weekend.
Okay. Okay. Been there. Been there. Uh, I guess at this point everyone has retired for the kids sports in our
You've
in our
retired.
house. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I remember. I remember. Let's see.
I've got a ways to go on my side.
I know. I know. Let's see. The weather, high of 83, low of 65, like super low chance of rain. So I guess maybe watch that space a little bit. We'll continue to monitor that as the week goes on. So hoping for a nice semi-fall day. I'm not loving the 83. Get a little, cool off maybe a little bit as the day goes on. So,
Yeah.
but I do like the 3:30 kickoff. That's the time that I like. So good with that. Let's see. I think we've previewed these guys so many times. I think I think you were saying you've exhausted JP's fun facts. Uh, is that still accurate?
Still accurate. Nothing nothing earth-shattering. Although I did come across kind of a fun fact, which I didn't realize, but
Okay.
talking about not necessarily famous alumni, but famous people from Auburn, Alabama.
Okay.
Auburn High School graduate Barack Obama. Did you know that?
No, I did not
I
know
did
that.
not know that. I did not know that either. Yeah.
Huh.
President Barack Obama was a graduate of Auburn High School.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very
I
interesting.
how have we never talked about that?
How have we never known that? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he would obviously didn't go to Auburn, but
Right,
you
right, right,
know,
right.
the fact that he went to and graduate was a graduate of Auburn High School is kind of mind-boggling to me because I feel like that was new information for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we know why he didn't go to Auburn because
Auburn sucks.
sorry, gotta bear with me on that tonight.
I do. I guess maybe I could have dialed into the pronunciation situation that came up on Twitter, or was it in one of our group chats? Like, how the heck do they arrive at Jordan Hare Stadium pronunciation when
It
it's very clearly spelled Jordan Hare?
I feel like that's a decent segue into Hasty's Hargreaves history. But yeah, I don't know. I always have wondered the same thing, and I feel like some people lean into it a lot more than others.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I guess weird pronunciation guide type thing.
I blame the Alabama education system.
Obviously, obviously. All right. Well, we do have Hasty's Hargreaves history, so why don't we dive into that?
Let's go.
All right. Hasty's Hargreaves history is submitted by Jason Hasty, and we received word that he does approve of the theme music.
One of these days, we're gonna have to like just do like an intro for one of these games with our audio like dubbed over the actual audio.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Like fix the ABC game to sound like what it should
Exactly.
sound like. Oh yeah, yeah. We should
Exactly.
totally do that.
Yeah.
uh,
Like dear ABC, this is what it could be like.
yeah. Oh, okay. It would be so much better. I mean, you get the band. Like it sounds like a college
It sounds like a
football
college
song.
football
You got
game.
the drums, you get the band. None of this weird
Yeah.
rock stuff. Also, I did appreciate Brett confirmed same song, different but much worse arrangement. Uh after we talked about that last week.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's like if John Tesh was given the assignment.
yeah. Yeah. Although John Tesh did make a pretty good didn't he make like the NBA?
It
One of those
did.
NBA theme songs? Yeah. So it's not too much slander for John
I
Tesh.
know, it's not too much slander, but
All right. All right. Well, let's jump in. So this is this week's Hasty's Hargreaves history for Georgia versus Auburn. Um, most Georgia fans know that the 1950s were a tough time for the Bulldogs. Not yet the DAWGs, by the way. The reasons for our struggles during that decade are varied and in some ways beyond the scope of the athletics program. We should remember, though, that the 1950s saw great Georgia players take the field and great moments that deserve to be remembered. The 1958 Bulldogs only posted a 4-6 record, but were very young, very talented, and had only played 4 games in Sanford Stadium. Despite the poor showing in 58, expectations were high that Wally Butts could challenge for an SEC championship in 1959. Heading into the final 3 game stretch of the season against Florida, Auburn, and Tech, the only blemish on Georgia's record was an inexplicable early season loss at South Carolina, then a member of the ACC in Columbia. JP, I know that like just made you shudder because you have bad memories of early season losses to South Carolina. It's
yes,
probably near your birthday.
indeed.
All right, the Bulldogs beat Florida in Jacksonville 21-10 on November 7th in a game that featured a 100-yard interception return for a touchdown by Georgia's Charlie Britt. If you're on the YouTubes, we got some visuals from here on out from Jason. The Georgia Auburn game was the next Saturday, November 14th. If Georgia won, it would be SEC champion. Auburn was ranked number 8 in the AP poll, but was ineligible for postseason play because they were on probation for recruiting violations. A common story for Auburn throughout the years. It's like, yeah, shocking. Uh,
They've been cheating since day one.
that's right. That's right. Even back then, these things were happening.
Yeah.
Georgia was ranked number 12. The game, a sellout with 54,000 people packing Sanford Stadium, was tight, and Auburn held a 13-7 advantage going into the last minute of the fourth quarter. With only about 45 seconds on the clock, Fran Tarkenton dropped back to pass. An Auburn defender jumped in front of Tarkenton just before the throw, but Tarkenton lofted the pass over the defender's outstretched arms. Bill Heron, an end, came down with the ball in the front corner of the east end zone, approximately in front of where the Redcoat band now sits. Durwood Pennington's PAT was good, and Georgia won 14-13. The SEC championship would be Georgia's fourth and the first since 1948. This is the part where I remind everyone that we should be playing Auburn late in the season because this game has so many times decided the SEC championship, and I don't like it being this early. So get off my lawn. Okay, I will continue. Now, of course, this being a Georgia Auburn game, there are plenty of crossovers between the two teams. Earlier in the game, Georgia lineman Pat Dye recovered an Auburn fumble to end what could have been a scoring drive that would have put the game out of reach. Dye would, of course, go on to be to coach Auburn from 1981 through 1992. And then here's the crossover to your earlier comment, John. Auburn was coached by Ralph Shug Jordan. Did I say that right? Ralph Shug Jordan,
Sure.
who from 1947 through 1950 had been one of Wally Butts's assistant coaches. Gene Lorendo, one of Jordan's assistant coaches, lettered in football at Georgia in 1947, 1948, and 1949. Speaking of assistant coaches, another of Jordan's assistants that day was Joel Eves, who was also Auburn's head basketball coach. Eves would replace Wally Butts as Georgia's athletic director in November 1963. In his first major act as athletic director, Eves would hire a young Auburn assistant coach to take over Georgia's football team, Vince Dooley. In one of Dooley's first moves as head coach, he hired a fellow Auburn assistant who'd also been in the staff in '59, Irk Russell. So that's what we got. Thank you.
I've heard of him.
Heard of him. Heard of those folks. Yeah. The again, like this is a rivalry. Like there's so much cross pollination. We've got so much going on between these schools. The history is so intertwined.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the school wouldn't exist without Georgia, basically, because it was founded by people that were from Georgia. John J. Harper. I mean, that's a fun fact, I guess.
There we go.
Yeah, a Georgian founded the city of Auburn, Alabama, and the university. So yeah, they would not exist without Georgia frontiersmen or plainsmen, I guess is. I guess it would be plains.
Go Dogs. Yes. War Eagle, Tiger, Plainsman, whatever.
I think that they say they're the Auburn Tigers who yell War Eagle or something like that.
Yes, the official explanation they give is that they are the Tigers. The tiger is their mascot. War Eagle is their battle cry. That's what they say.
Mhm.
I don't know what the
Mhm.
Plainsman is, and I don't think I want to know. I just choose. I like to just make jokes about it. So,
Yeah, totally fair.
Jason, thank you for the submission. Enjoyed the back and forth with you about this one, as always. Great stuff.
Yes. I have so many questions about the one that has the program. I don't know if you were on the YouTube, you could rewind and take a look at the program notes, but the character that is designated as the Auburn player, number one, like the colors are all kind of messed up, but like number two, he looks like Buddy the Elf.
Yeah, he does.
The fighting Buddy the Elves.
I had not looked at that closely enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what is going on with that hat? I don't understand.
Clearly, it's a homegrown Georgia made program. Obviously, he's like holding his back. Like, is he aching? What's going on?
He's tired of getting his ass kicked.
And is that the ref in the middle? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's like the man with no face painting or whatever. He's got like a bowler hat on. I don't know what is going on. Not to mention that the Auburn Buddy the Elf character has like these shin pads that almost look like cricket
Yeah,
cricket pads.
true, true, true.
Shout out British Bulldog.
Amazing. Well, if you find yourself in Athens, you know, always welcome to stop by the Hargret Library when they're open. They have, they house the UGA Athletic Association archives, and I think we've mentioned there's a Olympic Georgians, Georgia Bulldogs in the Olympics or as Olympians. That's the fall exhibit going on right now, so be sure to go and check that out.
Yep.
All right, let's jump into news and notes. I only have two things that are pretty quick. The first is Kirby stated in his press conference that he has a lot of respect for Hugh Freeze. So I know that's shocking to everyone. Um, Okay, so in Jordan Hall, not Jordan Hall, as far as I know, but Kirby did get questioned about three guys, Jordan Hall, Sokovie White, and London Humphreys, about their availability. And Kirby says that he is hopeful that all of them are able to play. So I don't know though. I don't know what that means because we didn't even really get into this in the Alabama review. Like he gave like Michael had the hopeful, and he played. So
He's on to us, Jim.
yeah, Kirby's been listening to the podcast. He's doing like reverse, double reverse psychology or something now. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know. Whatever.
I guess we'll see. If I had to pick games for them to try to push someone to come back, I guess that this probably wouldn't be one of them.
Yeah.
So if they are on the bubble, I would say, just let them get fully out of the bubble.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Why don't we jump into the game? So a couple of things, just like team wide. Um, Auburn actually is better, has more net yards per play than Georgia. So they're at 2.8 on the season. Georgia is at 2.04. And then the Dogs' turnover margin is now even after that four turnover game against Alabama. But the Auburn, and this is kind of like watch this space for this game. Auburn is minus 11 in the turnover margin. So interesting. Definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah, the game, I know we're getting ahead a little bit. The game on paper looks fairly even statistically.
Yeah.
That sticks out. And then it kind of reminds me of the good senator,
Hmm.
pours one out.
Yep.
Used to always talk about the regression to the mean.
Yeah. Yeah. RIP to the senator.
Hmm.
All right. So for the Georgia offense, what we're looking for when Auburn has the ball. So yeah, statistically, like the offense and defense line up fairly evenly. Like in total yards, Georgia is ranked 44th in the FBS in yards per game at 431 yards a game. Auburn's defense is ranked 50th in the SBS, giving up 329 yards a game. I think the interesting thing, like as a Georgia fan or as an old Georgia fan like me, is we are 19th in the country in passing yards per game and 102nd in rushing. So this is not your run the dang ball, style offense for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely not the run the ball
yeah,
up the gut for 3 downs.
yeah. What I do find interesting is like on the explosive plays. So Georgia is now 18th in the explosiveness category. Um, in FBS. So that's interesting. We've started to see some of that explosiveness last week with some deep balls to Arian Smith, and then obviously the big one to Dylan Bell.
Yeah, I mean, they started doing the things that we're looking for, and we'll continue to look for that in this game.
Yeah. So some notable defenders from Auburn. Their leading tackler is Jaron Thompson. He's a senior safety. 24 total tackles, one sack, one interception. Kalen Lee leads Auburn in interceptions. He's a sophomore cornerback. I guess he's tied for lead. He also has one pick. He's got 14 total tackles as well. And then their sack leader is Jalen McLeod. He's a senior, and he has 3 sacks on the season with 24 total tackles. Um, for our offense at this point, I mean, we're still sitting here with Arian Smith as the leading receiver. You got Arian Smith and Lovett, ETN leading rusher with Nate Frazier. I find it interesting that Nate Frazier is the second leading rusher on this team still, and he didn't see the field against Alabama. So we'll see what goes
Don't know
on
what's
goes
going
on there.
on. Don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. So what what are you looking for to see out of this Georgia offense on Saturday?
Well, I think that the biggest thing is going to be like we talked about in the Auburn game, and this is going to be get used to it as the season rolls through. Um, and as Carson Beck goes, so is this team going to go.
Yeah.
That is the that is the battle cry for this Georgia offense is um dear wide receivers, help your brother out or help a brother out, however you want to phrase it, like catch the dang ball and hold on to it.
Yeah.
Um, make the right reads, make the right calls, get into the right fits and the right sets. Um, and Carson, as we've seen, like when they've got everything, covered, he he can cook.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll be looking for is if they can do that for 4 quarters.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I feel like we were back to, was it last year when we were just like, when are we gonna have a fast start? Or was that 2 years ago? I remember like there was like one season where like every game I was like, will we see the fast start? Can we do everything for 4 quarters? Because we certainly haven't seen that yet this year. So I'm with you. I feel like strategically, like we did the things last week, at least, early, like we saw, like we were taking shots down the field early. That's something I wanted to see. And we saw that, but didn't get the consistent results.
Yeah, I feel like that there has been some chatter. I can't remember if it was in the text threads or on Twitter or whatever, but like this is like we've got to get Kirby. Kirby's got to get to a point where he's comfortable with the fast starts.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just like who we are. Control the ball, like old school Alabama teams, like when he was at Alabama kind of stuff. That's
Hmm.
just what he's been. That's what he's been bred on. That's his pedigree. That's his. Uh, he's basically taken the process and installed it in Athens in many ways. So some of that has got to be on the head coach to be able to start quickly and keep the pedal to the metal kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think he kind of talked about that, like that, the first quarter is on them as a coaching staff.
Yeah, he
The first
did.
quarter, the first quarter of Alabama.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he did. He said, they weren't ready to play and that's on him kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, when the offense comes out there and looks completely constipated, that's that's definitely on a portion of it is on a big portion of it is on the coaching staff. I mean, there's definitely culpability on the execution side, and that's the part that I'll be looking for is can we get execution? I think the biggest, like, I don't know if you're going to be showing Josh's stats, and if you haven't seen, I think he's going to post them. He usually does the matchups where he has the the color coding on the offense and the defense, and
Yeah.
the one thing that when you look at those numbers is Oscar Delp is the regression of Oscar Delp has been quite stark.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if we do anything in this game to like try and get certain guys going or anything. I don't, I feel like they're not really going to focus on it. And I mean, at this point, like, I feel kind of like feed Lawson Lucky and let's throw vertically to Dominic Lovett, Arian Smith, Dylan Bell, and Anthony
Anthony
Evans,
Evans.
right? Like let's include him in that group. Um,
Yeah, I would say that a big question has been like, what is the identity of this Georgia offense? Like I've seen that come up a lot. Like, what is their identity? And
yeah,
it seems, it seems like to the untrained eye that hasn't been in the arena, so to speak. But um, it feels like as a fan watching everything that we have players that have been producing out there. Anthony Evans, Lawson Lucky, Dylan Bell, and Arian Smith Like I feel like they've been trying to get the ball to Arian Smith very clearly. I mean,
Yeah.
they took the deep shot on him, and if he catches it, it's big games, and those are the kind of things that we've been looking for. And but you look at all those playmakers, and you're just like, why aren't we feeding these guys the ball more often? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So you're not in practice, you don't see what's going on. I feel like in the case of Anthony Evans, like I saw there's one play where there was one play that was in review and in the film review for Alabama, like Anthony Evans appeared to be struggling with outside blocks. So like if you can't block downfield, that may be a reason why you don't see these guys more regularly or getting targets and that kind of stuff. Is because
Yeah.
the things that we don't see as fans in the practice, and maybe they're fumbling the ball kind of stuff
Right.
consistently. That there's a reason that they're not on the field, because if they were great in practice, they would probably be playing a lot more. But it is hard not to notice that some players just in the when those spotlights, you know, when those spotlights are on in the big stage moments, they just have it. Um,
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett clearly was one of those players, because in practice they didn't give him the starting nod, but when the lights were on and the pressure was up, like he figured out a way to win. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel like we need to start looking at these things, is like less focus on what you're seeing day to day and more focus on what really matters in the game, and that is production when production is lacking elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Makes sense. Um, yeah, I think we had a question about the identity too. I don't know. I'll hold until we hit the listener questions because I'm still not totally sure what our identity is. I'm gonna continue to mull over that until we get there.
Okay, we can talk through it.
I guess anything else, or you want to move on to the defense?
I mean, biggest thing for Georgia offense, like running game, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
uh, ETN has shown flashes, but he has also shown a knack for some boneheaded plays. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've I've seen the analysis, like like, hey, this this play looks like it was designed for this, and we did that kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
Again, execution in the running game. Um, I, he clearly has some, like, and he frankly like came pretty close to busting some long runs in the Alabama game. So I'm looking for him to come through and showcase that he can be a reliable weapon on the offense, not only from the running game, but also in the passing game too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I'd like to see us, you know, impose our will up and down the field from the offense, and kind of shut up a lot of people. And that's I would love for this game to be a confidence boosting game where we can get out and start showing people what we can really do, is to kind of silence some of those critics and showcase this is the Georgia team we're looking for, and get some momentum from an offensive perspective going into some of you know, the thick of the schedule here.
Yeah. Agreed. And I will say too, like Auburn, the only other thing I'll say about them is like if you look when you look at their numbers, like they're worse when you filter just down to Power Five opponents. So they've run up the score on some of their lesser opponents. Obviously Georgia doesn't fall into that category. So um,
You'd like to
I
think
like that
so.
there. Yeah. But no, I totally agree on the running game. I would love to see ETN break out. Curious to see if we see more of some of the other guys. I think Alabama game kind of the being behind by so much kind of dictated whether it should or shouldn't have running the ball less just because of how far behind we were. So hopefully we get to see some more of that run game because I would I mean that because that stuff helps. Like when there's the threat of the run, it opens up the pass game and vice versa. So if we could have a little bit more semblance of balance, I think that'll only help.
Agreed.
And protect the dang football. We don't need to let these guys into the game by doing that. So protect the ball. All right. Let's talk about like our defense, their offense. So we're looking at when Auburn has the ball. Um, so just notable skilled players for Auburn. Peyton Thorne, quarterback. We saw him last year, senior. He is 61 of 102 for 1,038 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 picks on the season. So he has thrown 6 interceptions. Uh, Jarquez Hunter is their leading rusher with 437 yards and 2 touchdowns. Damari Allison is their second leading rusher, 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. And their leading receiver, Keandre Lambert Smith, senior wide receiver, 17 catches for 415 and 6 touchdowns. And then Malcolm Simmons, a freshman wide receiver, 14 catches, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns. Um, so, this is, can we, this is to me is kind of like, can we not do what we did against these guys last year defensively? Um, as I recall, that game started out like we had them kind of like pinned back deep in their own end zone, and we let Peyton Thorne bust some crazy run on us. Um, and I mean, this is a Hugh Freeze team. Offense is his thing. I think we've played them enough times to have a good plan there, but again, to your point, watching the film reviews this week, folks have pointed out some things that like we would eventually adjust to, but didn't pick up on it initially. So would love to see a fast start from the defense as well this week. I guess technically we had seen a fast start from the defense every game except for last week. So maybe we get back to the the rest of the season and kind of flush
Yeah,
last week.
yeah, pretty consistently have not been super concerned with the defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you mentioned, Peyton Thorne, like you're right. Like hopefully they've got that dialed up in their heads from last year because he has not been a threat all season long
mm.
to run.
Running. Yeah,
Yeah. He's not been a significant impact with the exception of like their very first game of the year.
okay.
Um, but other than that, yeah, I don't expect that's going to be a feature of the offense based on what we're seeing here, but we know he has it in him.
Yeah, for sure. And this is where again I think this is where like the on paper the statistics look fairly even between the Auburn offense and the Georgia defense. But the thing there is turnovers, and I know Kirby talked about that in his Tuesday media availability. One thing he did say is that people aren't like they're not like what did he say? He said something which maybe kind of doesn't really make sense, but it's like they're not getting like stopped, like they're getting these drives, but they're just turning the ball over. Like they're not getting shut down, they're just turning it over. I think was what he said. So, but that's the thing right there. I mean, 15 giveaways already on the season. That's a lot. Would love to see that continue.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. You love to see it, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. I guess that's really. I don't have a whole lot of else to say there. Defense for the most part, keep doing what you're doing. And like you said in our Alabama review, John, like Jalen Milrow isn't walking through that door for any other teams this season. Um, so
Mhm.
definitely feel better from that end.
Yeah, for sure. I guess they could always end up throwing a rope a dope and putting in a different quarterback. If things start going south. So I guess that I would be prepared to pivot because they've played two quarterbacks this season. Um, they benched the other guy, but Peyton Thorne seems to be the go-to right now.
Yeah, there was a switch and then a switch back. Uh,
Yeah,
Hank, but if they switch again, it is Hank Brown is the other kid that was playing. And he had one. I know he had at least one start. But yeah, he's got 6 touchdowns and 3 picks. So he started turning the ball over himself, and I think that's where they went back.
he's less INTs than Mr. Thorne, but
Yeah, yeah. But man, I mean, their only 2 wins are over Alabama A&M and New Mexico. And we're talking their offense. They scored 73 points on Alabama A&M, so that's where a lot of those statistics are coming from, and 45
right,
against New Mexico, where they only put up 14 against Cal and Arkansas, and then they just lost. They're coming off their 27-21 loss to Oklahoma. So um,
right.
yeah, yeah,
We'll see. I like our odds, but again, like there's just so many weird things about the stats here. Like I know that we're gonna get to the score predictions and all that kind of stuff, but
yeah,
like It's just the math ain't mathing,
Yeah,
Chief.
I agree. I agree. It's the turnovers. It's the turnovers. All right. Well, let's do a quick look at special teams. Um, you know, the Brett Thorson no punts return streak came to an unceremonious ending with a negative 4 yard return. But as we said in the review, there has been 0 punts with positive yardage return against Brett Thorson still. Uh, going back all the way through last season as well. So we've moved the goalpost, and that is our new statistic we will track. Um, other than
You can
that,
either sit your ass down or we're gonna push your ass back. Sorry, Carter.
uh, nice. Let's see. They looking at Auburn. So their place kicker is Towns McGow, freshman kicker. He's 2 of 5 on field goals. He is perfect on extra points. And then they do have an Australian punter. So they do have that going for them. So Oscar Chapman, senior punter, and he's got a 46.25 yard average there. And let's see, we did get into the kickoff return game uh, last week. Finally had one of those happen for Georgia's return special teams as well. So gave up the punt return, but had some kick returns. So and Anthony
Yeah,
Evans we've learned is well, I guess he was always back there, but he returned a few last week.
right. And we basically were like, fine, you're gonna bust our goose egg. We're gonna bust ours.
That's right. That's right. All right. That's what we got for the matchups on the three phases of the game for Georgia and Auburn. You ready to hit the listener questions, JP?
Let's hit the listeners' questions.
All right.
See what they got to say.
All right. So, as they are every week, the listener questions are brought to you by Working Web Media. So, we worked with them last offseason to overhaul our website. So, you can head over to mygodapodcast.com to check that out. Basically, we had a super basic site before, like our merch store was on a separate site, all that. So, we're able to bring everything together and work with them. They worked with us on all the designs, writing, copy, imagery, everything. So it's super simple process for us. So if you have a small business or need some help with your online presence, head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs, and then they will know that we sent you their way. All right, first up in the listener questions, we've got Brett Building with the Buildings bonus, TM, TM, TM. Number one, our offense stinks in the first quarter. What will Kirby and Bobo do to correct that this week?
I think we kind of talked a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think
And
it's just don't turn the ball over. Be consistent. I mean, it's honestly it's execution, right? Like it's execution. Like I actually liked what we were trying to do against Alabama. We had drop passes and picks. So I mean, honestly, what I was frustrated with was all the lateral stuff. So would what I want to see is if this is what we were wanting to do, and like what we were
Mhm.
holding back was this vertical passing game for Alabama. Cat's out of the bag now. Don't go back to the lateral stuff. Not saying you don't do anything lateral, but I want to see us getting the vertical passing game, getting the ball downfield, and keeping them honest
I
with the
don't,
run game. So that's it for me.
I I don't know. Like I think that going lateral has its benefits, right? Like I mean, shoot, we're Arian Smith, understanding where he's supposed to go away from a touchdown.
I don't consider that one so much lateral because that was like a tunnel screen, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm
correct me
talking
if
about
I'm
these.
wrong.
I'm just talking about like the ones where
Correct me
it's
if I'm
like
wrong.
I'm thinking the ones where it's like there's like three receivers out to the left, the two guys block, and you throw it behind the line of scrimmage, like that stuff. Like
But that was like the go-to stuff for Brock Bowers and Lab McConkey. Like we've
Brock
got,
Bowers and Lad McConkey aren't walking through that
I
door,
know,
JP.
I know they ain't walking through that door, Jim. But I'm just saying, like
uh,
Anthony Evans.
right.
We haven't seen that throw for Lawson Lucky. Like maybe one of those guys can step in and run it. Like I mean, shoot, Colby Young, like big body guy. Like these are the things that are kind of frustrating about these. We've got these, quote unquote stars that are out there, and on paper that it doesn't seem like that they're doing a whole lot, but we've seen flashes and flares here and there, and you're like, oh my gosh, like Colby Young is a big body. That's probably why we went to him on the last play of the game. Is it underthrown? Did he run a run route? Or like, was he expecting it? I don't know. But like,
Yeah.
he very clearly had a position on that deep defensive back that had the ball been in a better spot, he probably would have outmuscled that guy. And frankly, every contested catch I've seen him do, he's bossed someone. So like,
Yeah.
there's all these little facets of these guys' games that I feel like we're figuring out. We just need to go out there and do it more regularly and just execute it. So I
Yeah.
think that the identity for this team is ultimately we want to be a vertical passing attack team. We don't have a Brock Bowers. We're not a the knock on Georgia for wide receivers was that, oh yeah, that's tight end you over there. Well, Brock Bowers gone. Other tight ends on the roster haven't been producing. Where are we going with the ball? We're going to the outside receivers. So
Mm.
like, guess what? If you are a good wide receiver, we'll figure out a way to get you the ball. And that seems to be the identity that they're trying to work through is get the outside passing game going and you know, good things are going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Second part, would you rather, ooh, Brett coming in with a would you rather. Would you rather lose again and skip the SEC championship or win out and have a rematch with Alabama or Tennessee? I don't like
For this
losing personally.
chip.
I personally, I would rather win out. I know I've joked about how third place in the SEC is a great place to be. Kirby can worry about strategery such as that. Personally, I like to win.
Yeah. I mean, I guess from a selfish standpoint, like, beat everyone, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm not going to sit here and say that I would rather, lose a game, but like if we lose another game, it probably isn't going to matter. Um, I think that the SEC championship, as much as I hate to say it, has become a symbolic. It's more of a symbolic thing because even though Alabama won the SEC championship, nobody gives a like. Sorry, Carter. Like nobody cares that you won the SEC championship. Georgia won the national championship. That's all that anybody cares about.
yeah, yeah. The only thing it does get you now, here's the only thing I'll say over that to slightly disagree is
Play the
if
devil's advocates
yeah,
segment.
yeah. If you make it to the SEC championship, you better win it because if you lose that game, you don't get a first round bye in the playoff. You have to play an opening round game, and now you just played an extra game. That's why I actually like you don't, but you don't know going into that game whether you're you don't know when you make that game if you're going to win it or not. So like, yes, it's your my opinion is you are in a better spot to finish third in the SEC than finish first or second and lose in that game. Like third place is to me, I think is probably better off just because of you get a bye week, or you get an off week, an extra week off that the SEC championship loser does not get. So that's the only caveat I'd add.
Yeah, yeah. I
All right,
the gamification of the postseason is
yeah,
1000% going to impact the regular season. So
yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see. Next up, Kevin. How many pallets of coffee are required to have the team awake for the first 30 minutes of Saturday's game, and where does it need to be shipped? So I don't know. All the coffee. Hopefully, I guess two things there. I started to say, hopefully, we are within the confines of Sanford Stadium, Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium. We're between the hedges. We don't have to worry about that. I will say though, like it is homecoming. Sometimes the festivities, I don't know what homecoming against Auburn looks like, although, homecoming against Mizzou last year was pretty hyped up. So I don't feel like we so much had that problem. But I would say, like, if you're going to the game, definitely, get there early, be loud. Like, we want these guys to come home to the crazy Sanford Stadium environment they're used to. So I would say, I don't know about pallets of coffee, but I think we as fans can put the energy into Sanford Stadium to get him awake.
yeah, I agreed.
All right. Let's see. Got a couple I kind of paired up here. So Chad Jarvis, Chad said, "Do y'all see us being more vanilla or opening it up on Saturday?" We also added 20-minute Georgia podcast is a good listen as well. That's Chad and Josh, Dog Stats. 20-minute podcast. I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that means. It's a joke. Brevity is not our strong suit.
I feel like it's
But go to Chad.
I'm reading it as a quiet insult.
So that was Chad. Chad wanted to know if we're going to be vanilla. What? I don't think so. That's what. Well, I don't. To me now, there's no more point. There's no point of being vanilla. I don't think. I mean, we didn't see like trick plays against Alabama, which I don't know that we. So I don't so much expect that, but like,
That
but
scares the hell out of me.
yeah, but like, I don't expect us to. Like I said, I feel like we were holding things back. We showed new things against Alabama. I don't see a point of holding things back anymore. So I don't think so. I don't see it being vanilla on Saturday.
I hope that there are some things that we took away from Alabama. Like for example, there were some definitely some schematic things that they did with their lines and their shifts, and there were some formations that they threw out there that Alabama had not shown. So like there's something to be said about introducing some new things in the season. So and some of those plays, frankly, were really good against our defense. So if they worked against our boys, they probably would work against these guys too. So if we had anything, I would love to see us try it out. Kind of like to your point, like there's no point in holding it back. The long con
Yeah,
is, you know, I personally think it's kind of for the birds because like who cares? Like if you can execute something at a high level, like execute it. Like
yeah,
run until they stop it, kind of thing.
yep, yep. Totally agree. Um, Aaron King said, where is Oscar Delp and Nate Frazier?" I mean, Oscar Delp was out there. Um,
He's out there fumbling and dropping.
Delp would brother out.
He has the worst PFF grade of anybody on the offensive side from the starting perspective.
Yeah, yeah. We need to.
The boy needs to step up.
Yeah, we just
Period.
need to get his confidence. Need to get his confidence up. I mean, but the flip side of that is we, lost and lucky caught a touchdown. I mean, so I see him being featured more. Nate Frazier, not inside sources. I just my sense is always you've got to be able to block to get on the field. That's my best guess. That's I don't have any inside sources on that.
Yeah, I agree. But I'll go back to what I was saying before about, we have a prototypical, we have a guy that a mold of a position player, and what we ask that position player to do, you got to be able to block, like you got to be able to block your ass off on the outside. You got to be able to block running back, pick up the blitzes, all that kind of stuff. But there are ways that you can get this kid the ball.
Yeah,
Figure it out.
yeah, sure.
Like he doesn't have to block, and I guess if you're throwing him out there and he's never blocking, that's something to be said. But you could also throw him out there and then shift him out into the wide receiver to keep things off balance. Where, like, frankly, that's some of that is what Alabama did. They got Smile London into coverage. They got Jalen Walker into coverage by doing little shifts and things like that. Where, like, holy crap, like we got a guy that has no business being out that far. All of a sudden, they're being asked to defend these little guys that are way faster and shocking. Like they got burned. They're not coverage guys. Like
Right.
so, there are ways that you can, like they say, scheme guys open or whatever. That's one of those things. Like get someone outside, get them on a mismatch, see how they're lined up, and figure it out. Like I said, like
Yeah,
we've got to figure out ways to get these guys the ball that are producing. And if it takes doing something a little untraditional, then let's again just figure it out.
yeah, yeah. I think we hit the first struggles in the offensive identity. We probably beat that dead horse at this point. Um,
Yes.
he did want to know when are we going to get a guy like Milrow at quarterback? The threat of a quarterback that can run and pass like that is unstoppable. Um,
I hate to say it, but we had him on the roster and he left.
yeah, yes, agreed. Yeah,
I mean, Jalen Miller was Justin Fields, basically, just a little bit bigger and probably a little bit stronger, but you don't know what he would have turned into under our regime. But um, we tried, we tried to have someone on the roster.
yeah.
I would say that would you say that Rashada is in that vein? I don't know.
I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know enough about him. Um, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that, to be perfectly blunt, I don't know that that type of quarterback is in Bobo's wheelhouse. Because you go back and look at all the quarterbacks that we've brought in since he's been either, at our school, whether it's he's recruiting and coaching, or he's the offensive coordinator, or he's a head coach at Colorado State, or he's back to offensive coordinator. Like he's always gone after these like prototypical,
Yeah,
quarterbacks. And maybe some of them have, mobility here and there, but like nothing to the extent of a Jalen Milrow, where he's just like a freak of nature.
right.
Impossible to bring down in the backfield kind of guy. Big, strong, fast, can throw, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Not to mention that those guys don't come around. Those guys don't come around very often. So
Yeah, they don't grow on trees.
yeah, God doesn't make a whole lot of large human beings that can throw the football 60 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next up we've got Boss Dog. What will the Reverend's excuses be after he gets beat by the dogs by Fitty this next weekend? I'll tell
He's
you
gonna
what.
throw he's gonna throw his players under the bus like he always does.
Yes,
Have
exactly.
you seen the SEC shorts?
Oh my gosh. Who's the guy? Who was the Ole Miss quarterback? Uh
Jackson Dart.
no. The one that played for
Oh,
Freeze at Ole Miss that like went on Twitter and like had a tirade about Hugh Freeze.
oh
Bo
yeah.
was it Bo Wallace?
Bo Wallace. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go check Bo Wallace's timeline, Boss Dog, and he'll tell you what all the things Hugh Freeze is gonna say. So that's my answer.
Yeah, that man chose violence.
Yeah, he did. He did. All right, let's see. Fletcher Proctor. Is there a chance Kirby goes Herb Brooks and has Bobo Beck throw to the end zone over and over and over en route to a 50 burger, an attempt to try and attract CJ Wiley to Athens? I mean, maybe here's what I'll say. Like, I feel like this is going to be I don't think they're going to like force that, but if that's what Auburn is allowing us to do, then it might happen. Um, but I don't know, man. Like we had, a lot of people were like, "Oh, we were like showing off, throwing deep from JT Daniels to, uh, wait, who were we? Who? What? Now, see, now I can't even remember. We were throwing
Hmm?
deep when we had Arch Manning, like in the crowd that one game back at man. When was that? Like, I think that was actually in 2021. When you do stuff and it feels like you're trying to get someone, it doesn't always work. I don't know. I just remember we were like, oh, we're going deep to AD Mitchell, and he's catching a touchdown like right in front of Arch Manning. I know, different position, but that's gonna convince him to come here. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say probably not. I don't think that would be the reason. We might do it, but I don't know if that's gonna be the motivation.
He's currently a Florida State commit, right?
Sounds right.
But
Shouldn't take much to get
I've
you to
got
decommit from there.
yeah, I just quickly looked it up. He's crystal balled to UGA
Okay.
100% as well. So seems like that he's coming. He's coming. So sure, we'll go with that. Um, see if we can get this kid to stay home, I guess. Don't know a whole lot about him,
I mean,
but
he did go.
I know he's from your alma mater,
There
Jim.
you
I
go.
know you're a little
Little,
partial.
little Milton alum. Hey, it's been done before. Sean Bailey was a Milton grad as well. Did some good things
I
for the
like
dogs.
I like the pedigree. I like the pedigree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a highly rated recruit. We've got other highly rated recruits, so if you're fast and tall and big and can catch the ball, there's an opportunity for you here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wait, we're open to take the wide receivers. We need to hit that vertical passing game that we talked about.
Yeah, seriously. I think that if I'm a guy like that, I'm probably questioning like who's going to be the quarterback next year, kind of thing.
Hmm. Puglisi.
I'd rather not get into that conversation right now.
Table that. Table that. Let's see. Alex Berger. Um, he said, just wanted to get your guys' thoughts in these next 2 weeks. Since we essentially played the two cabooses of the conference, I know no one expected the schedule to have no breaks. But I think we have a good opportunity to get on the same page on both sides of the ball in these next 2 weeks. What are your thoughts? He said, also, do you think from here on out they'll be going to be flying under the radar, under the national media's radar, especially on that four-letter network? Love the pot.
The best way to get on that on their radar is to go out and have Carson Beck throw up 400, 500 yards passing, and I think that he clearly showed that he has that in him. If he's called upon to do it, so that's one way to do it is to just go out there and just just bull rush everybody like a bull in a china shop and just knock everybody down.
Yeah. I think the other thing about these next 2 weeks is they're at home. And we get to play two home games. Um, we've been on the road. It's only our second home game. We're in October. Like this, the way this schedule was lined up is so weird. We're about to go on
Mhm.
the road some more significantly after this. So, everyone's going to be at home. They get to sleep in their own bed. I think that stuff makes a difference. I mean, these are kids out here playing this game. So I think they'll be comfortable
Comfort.
there. Exactly. Got the creature comforts, literally and figuratively, although they don't need to be drinking. But yeah, so that's what I think. All right, then we got John Michael D. Not a question, but two things to share. Hashtag uniform Twitter obligations say that we should wear black because it's Auburn at home, but I know we will not. Uh, I'll pause right there and just say agreed. We've kind of stopped the uniform watch segment. Not happening. I'll believe it when I see it. That we'll wear something else. So, and again, it is too early in the season. I feel like to wear black. So late in the season would agree. And then he said a hopeful tidbit for us is the last time my wife birthed us a son. The dogs and Braves pulled the double. Baby boy 2 is due on the 16th. So first off, congrats, John Michael
Ooh.
D. Uh,
Yeah.
loving that, loving that. Baby boy on the way.
Bring more into the family.
You
The
know,
dog, the dog family.
I feel like, newest baby boy for John Michael D could be fast friends with the True Man, and maybe have some uniform talk going on in the future. So future Twitter friend maybe of Hunter's son.
Truman and Teddy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
British Bulldog. We've got it's been a season of babies.
That is true. We didn't talk about that. Yeah, that was announced on the day of the Bama game.
Yeah.
British Bulldog and his wife welcome there first to the family. So congrats on that. Yeah, man, they're all gonna be fast friends. Maybe those three will have a text thread someday.
It's gonna be a future Morris Hall tailgate crew. Future Motown.
Yes, yes, exactly. I'm excited to go to Motown this weekend.
I would be too.
All right, friend of the show, Tim Riley. How do we use the Auburn game to reestablish our goals for the season and give us two key priorities that need to happen?
All right, first goal, just win, baby.
Nice, nice.
The goals are there, just win.
Yeah, I
Um, I would say just reestablishing goals. Like in my opinion, I'm I want to see these guys rep like this was Alabama kind of thing. Like I want to see them come out like just do you have the soundbite? Show me. Like
yeah.
I need I need the offense to show me. This has been like one of my Michigan buddy from last year, Brian Kingsbury, that you may remember talking to him, but
Mhm.
um at one of the tailgates. But I told him that my mantra for the season thus far has been show me, whether it's show me on the defense, show me on the defensive line, show me on the offensive line, show me at
Show
the
me!
quarterback position, show me at the running back position. Like offense is where I'm focused right now because I really don't have a whole lot to be concerned about on the defense because they have exhibited, yeah, we gave up a bunch of points in the first quarter, but our offense really put our team in a crappy situation that
Yeah.
would have been impossible for literally any defense, including like those Miami defenses from back in the day or whatever. Um, like I think that uh, I just want to see the offense just bust it out, like just get everybody comfortable. You heard rumblings about Carson Beck frustrated with snaps and all that kind of stuff, but like, let the offense cook, basically.
Yeah. And I will say, I'll say this. I don't know. I mean, maybe reestablishing. I guess that maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't think we need to change our goals. I'll say that with one loss, your goals don't need to change. Even if your goal is go to the SEC championship, um, we went out. The odds are we're there. There could be some weird tiebreaker scenarios, but we've still got undefeated Texas, undefeated Tennessee. They're on the schedule, and Ole Miss already has a loss. So as far as the people that we don't play, you're talking like maybe Mizzou or something. So win out,
Mhm.
you're still probably going to Atlanta. There's no way to know that like we used to. There's no East and West, so it's harder to say that. But I still feel like if that was your goal, that's not off the table. So that's I feel like the reestablishing is reminding that of what they still have to play for. We don't have to change our goals. So to me,
Right.
that's the main thing. But I agree with you. Like I feel like what we and we what we haven't seen, what this team has been so good about, and was so good in the back-to-back runs, and was good through 12 games with this last year, was 13 of 14 games last year, um, was playing complementary football. So the offense feeding off the defense and vice versa. It's offense, it's special teams, it's defense, everything working together, and that definitely didn't happen against Alabama. So to me, that's the main thing there is how those come together.
Just keep the main thing, Jim.
Keep the main thing, keep chopping. I mean, but yeah, I mean, shoot, two key priorities: protect the football. But I agree with you, man. I feel like it's mainly offensively right now. Protect the football, and I'd like to get some semblance of a run game because that's just going to help open up the pass game.
I like what Kirby said about that I guess in his post game speech he was talking about like you know we need to have more moments than they do, like
Hmm.
moment by moment, like he's been that's like one of the things that they've been talking about a lot in some of these like quotes and videos that I've seen, like moment by moment.
Yeah.
Like you don't win this moment, forget about it, move to the next one, win that moment, win more moments than you lose. Um, that's probably football is probably the best example of that because like from one play to the next, you could get shut down. You could get shut down, get off your mark on one play, and then bust a touchdown on the next play, moment by moment. It doesn't have to be that way. And you know, just kind of tying a bow on like that message and how it gets conveyed. Like we talked about that in for Carter's baseball team, and baseball is another great example. Like, talk about a sport that's like depressing. If you let it get depressing, you just have to move on to the next thing. Like you made an error, tough cookies. Like figure it out, move on to the next play. It's the next play, the next pitch,
Hmm.
whatever it is. And it's the same thing for football. Like just like in life, like not everything goes your way. You just got to move on to the next moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it. All right. We've got Jason's Would You Rather's from the Hug Dog. All right, JP, the Auburn edition. Oh, sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, I said yes.
Yes, yes, yes. We still need, I feel like there needs to be some kind of intro maybe for Would You Rather's. I had an idea, haven't executed it yet. We'll still working on that.
Okay.
All right, would you rather swallow a shovel of hot coals or lose another game to Alabama?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't. We need to stop losing to these guys. Which, yeah, maybe of course it had to be them. Whatever.
Of course it had to be them. I mean, the truth of the matter is like it would have been a terrible situation, even if we had won. I talked about that on the podcast. We were in an impossible place. Like you could not win that situation. Where you can win that situation is to win it when it matters most. And frankly,
Mm,
all intents purposes, that game mattered zero.
yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Josh. Second, would you rather cheer for War Eagle Tiger Plainsmen or Ramblin' Wreck Engineering Bumblebees? And that's a tough one.
I'm going Ramblin' Wreck.
Mm. God, I just
If my
can't. I can't do it.
I put it to you this way, Jim. I put it to you this way. Everybody gets a scholarship offer when they visit Auburn.
Mm,
Not many people get into Georgia Tech, dude. So if my kids are able to get into Georgia Tech, I'll be like, go Bumblebees.
mm. I always tell my kids. I always told my kids you can go to college anywhere you want except Georgia Tech.
Oh, see, I've said you can go anywhere you want except for Florida.
Oh well, yeah,
Only because well, not only because frankly, like FTMF.
right.
Um, like if you're smart enough to get into Georgia Tech, like, dude, like totally. Makes total sense. Like I had kids that I taught in the youth group at church that lifelong Alabama fans went to Georgia and they are definitely rocking Georgia G now. So like um,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good school, it's a good opportunity, like, whatever. If I had to pick, I'd say Bumblebees for sure.
I mean, I can't cheer for either of them, but in
I
this,
mean, are we talking
by the
about cheering or are we talking about like rooting?
he
Like
says cheering. He said cheer for. So maybe it's like maybe we could say it like they're playing each other. Who are you playing for?
exactly.
Playing each other. Who do you root for? Man, probably Auburn, honestly, just because there's like the shared history of Auburn stuff. Like they give us Dooley, we give them Pat Dye, like that kind of stuff. So that's gonna be my cop out answer.
I do tell people that like the closest approximation of a Georgia fan that I could come across would be an Auburn fan,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in my experience.
yeah. I think that's
Uh,
fair.
the Tech fans are a different beast.
Yeah. All right. Would you rather have one really good bourbon or multiple kind of good mix-in bourbons pre-game?
Hmm. I'll take the multiple bourbon, sir. In the
Really?
pregame,
Yeah.
he had the clarifying statement of
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pre-game.
pregame. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take the multiple bourbons.
So here's where I'm going to say, JP, and then I'm going to experience this for the first time on Saturday because I have not seen this yet. So I'm going to say that I'm going to go with one really good bourbon because now when I get to the stadium, I can have a Classic City Lager. So, and, I haven't experienced that yet. So this is gonna be my first uh, time being able to do that. I think Kim may grab a sip seltzer, and we'll see how that goes.
Man, that'll be fun. Enjoy it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's definitely a good experience for sure. I definitely would prefer to just drink a bunch of bourbon before the game.
Understood. Understood. I feel like this is one where there's no really wrong answer. So
Yeah. Although he did say one really good bourbon.
right, or
So
multiple kind of good bourbons. So
what I would do is maybe like get like a solo cup and just fill it all the way up of the really, really good bourbon. You said one bourbon,
right,
Jason.
right. Like how heavy is this pour? What are we talking here?
Yeah, it's like the wine glass. It's like the wine glass. It's an entire bottle. Well,
Right,
you said it, one glass.
right, right. All right. Would you rather have a 4:15 or a 7 p.m. kickoff?
Given the fact that I tweeted this out when the Mississippi State game time was announced, 4:15 is the perfect time frame for it gives you a lot of tailgate runway,
Yeah,
a lot of pregame runway.
yeah,
Um, and you can still get home at a decent hour if you're going to the game and still get some nighttime experience and you get a little bit of daytime if you're at home and a little bit of nighttime if you're at home as well. So I think 4:15 in the fall is a fantastic time frame.
totally agree. Totally agree. These night games are too late, and I have to wait way too long during the day. So They're fun,
What was,
but to me,
what
there
was
can
the
be too
kickoff that
many.
we had earlier this season? It was like 8:30 or something like that.
What was the Kentucky game was like kicked off late, right? Like because the game before it there was the storm or something, it got pushed back. I don't know.
Hmm.
So
There you go. Like the later the games are, the more likely they are to get pushed by other games.
yeah, yeah. So I totally agree. All right, and then his last one: would you rather mimosa or a Bloody Mary? Are you a Bloody Mary guy?
I'm not. Enjoy your tomato soup for breakfast.
I was gonna say it doesn't surprise me because and a lot of times there'll be like a pickle in them or something, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you're definitely anti.
I would probably need a couple of Tums if I were to drink a Bloody Mary. Although, if you, Jason, are making a Bloody Mary and have a recipe that you swear by, I would probably drink a Bloody Mary. I'm not a big fan of champagne in general. It gives me a headache. I feel like I find that champagne gives me a headache. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go with mimosa though as well. I'm not a huge Bloody Mary guy. I don't know. And every time like I have one that I think I like it for like maybe half of it, and then I'm like, oh yeah. Then like I remember, I'm like, oh, I don't like these. But hey, yeah, I would trust the hug dog to try one out.
enjoy your tomato soup, sir.
All right. That is all for the listener questions, except for our last segment.
Oh my God! My God, a freshman.
Trying to put glasses on it.
1980, woo, brother.
It is time for Coaches Over Unders Auburn edition. Uh, as we covered in the last episode, John, you extended your lead. So you have the honors. Do you choose to,
Oh, shoot.
do you want to go first or do you want to defer?
I need to look at the over-under questions to make the decision for
Uh,
let's see here. Where is it? There. I'm there. So the first over-under is Carson Beck passing touchdowns.
yeah.
I'll let you go. I'll let you answer this one.
Okay. Carson Beck over under 2.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going to go over.
Over. Yeah, I'm gonna go over on that one too.
Okay. Over to you. So, or you go first on this one. Georgia rush yards over under 125.
I'm gonna go over.
Okay. I'm gonna go over as well. I'm gonna over as well. Establish the run. Okay.
Establish the run.
All right, my turn. Over under 3.5 receptions by a tight end. I'm gonna go over. Throw to the tight end. I feel like we could see Mr. Lucky have a good day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over as well.
Okay. Uh, over to you. Switching over to the defense. Over under 1.5 forced turnovers for the Georgia defense.
I'm gonna go over.
Man, I am too. The rate that they're turning the ball over, I'm gonna say over as well.
Just stick with that trend line.
I know. Yeah. I'm not letting you extend your lead. We'll see if I have a place that I want to pick here. Okay, so for my turn, sacks over under 2.5 sacks. I'm gonna go over.
I'm also gonna go over on this one too.
Oh, really? I'm kind of surprised. Kind of surprised. I thought you were gonna bust out and say that you needed the defense too. Show me. But you decided to.
It's partially because I actually think that that's a pretty decent line.
Yeah,
Also, I'm hedging here.
I know. I
I
know.
got
That's
I got
okay.
a season championship to go after here. I got a
Okay.
lead. I got to hold on to yeah, like Alabama versus Georgia.
Oh God, too soon, JP. All right, your turn. Over under 150 passing yards for Auburn.
150 passing yards for Auburn.
Yeah.
Uh, it's probably a good line, I feel like. Um, just checking one thing real quick. What was the line?
150.
I'm gonna go over on that one
Okay. Man.
for for Auburn, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. I was hoping we were going to get to disagree on one, but I'm going to go over as well. Um, and then the last, or not last, for special teams, my turn to pick first. Over under 3.5 total field goals in this game. I'm going to go under.
Total field goals
Yeah,
across both teams. Hmm. You said you took the under, right?
I did.
I'm gonna go. Oh, I'm gonna go over.
Okay. Okay. And then last one is for you. Uh, over under 20 UGA rivals debates on Twitter this week.
I don't, smash the over.
Okay. Okay. I like to just not disagree on these because I feel like I don't want to deal with the headache of the the debating on whether or not one of these was tracked correctly. So I'll go with you.
I'm just gonna forewarn you. If you win against me, I'm gonna stuff the ballot.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Okay.
Stop the steal.
Fair. 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 Okay. Coach, as always, thank you for sending those and tracking them as well. Appreciate it. Always love the Sunday text that we get from Coach when he tells us how we did.
Yes, you know it's a good Sunday when you get a text from coach.
That's right. That's right. All right. Time for final predictions. So last I checked, Georgia was or is a 24.5 point favorite with the over under of 52.5. That gives an implied score of Georgia 38.5 to 14. The Odd Shark predicted score, and this was where I feel like we talked about earlier, like, well, in the podcast before the podcast, that the math isn't mathing. Odd Shark has Georgia 31 or Georgia 37, Auburn 31. Interesting. College football insiders, they have Georgia 37, basically 37.5 to 12.5. I did throw our scoring impact spreadsheet in here. Georgia's offensive impact on like opponents, we're basically scoring 3.67 points more than teams usually give up against the Power Five, and we're holding teams to 10.73 points less than they score on average against the Power Five. So that would, if you do all that math, this is like Georgia 27.6 to 5.5 is what that's
Mm.
at. So um,
I
I'll
mean,
keep doing those from now on.
just pause on literally you couldn't get more all over the place
Yeah, yeah, it's wild.
than this game. Like I don't understand how any of these things can be the same, predicting the same game.
Yeah.
Like first of all, let's start with Odd Shark or the odds. I mean, are there other gambling like websites that have a similar setup where they give you the implied score and they give you the predicted score?
Um,
I don't
I'm
know if
sure
it,
there are. I don't
I
know.
don't know if such a thing exists. Like, is this a normal thing? Like for gambling people out there, if you were a gambler, a degenerate gambler, like what does this mean? Because I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like this, like where the implied score indicates something completely different. I mean, we're talking like you couldn't get more different
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the
than the
implied score is just like, applying the over under to the spread. Like
the
I
spread.
do
Yeah.
that myself, but the odd shark, I don't know. I don't know where odd shark. This is a question for Ross, and it would probably involve something around standard deviations and things that I don't understand.
Uh,
So, yeah.
I love inside jokes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I got nothing on this one. I don't understand what's going on here, but I feel like the implied score feels college insiders implied score like those
Mhm.
feel like what we're up against here.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. All right, I'll go. I'll go. So I'll give you two nuggets. In the Kirby Smart era, Georgia is 13-3 after a loss. and Georgia has not lost back-to-back games in the regular season since 2016, Kirby's first year as a head coach. Um,
Mhm.
we're also on a 26 game home win streak, which leads FBS. So we do still have a streak to protect. I'm going to go dogs 35-10 in this one.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go 38-16.
Okay. Okay. I like it. We're in similar spots.
Yeah.
Do you have are there field goals involved there, or did they score two touchdowns and go for two twice? I'm just curious.
My hope is that there's field goals involved there for my over-unders situation.
Nice. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's hit some. Coach gave us some games around the SEC to look at. We could just do. I think we just picked these straight up. So you got number one, Bama is favored by 23 points at Vanderbilt. That game's at 4:15 on Saturday on the SEC Network. Uh, does the Tide have a letdown at Vandy, John?
Probably not. I think they'll be okay.
I think so too. I think so. I do feel like they might be asleep a little bit early in the game, but then they pull away and it's not even close. They may cover. All right, the second one, the Fighting Hunters.
It's
Now,
crazy that our spread it's crazy that our spread is bigger than their spread.
yeah, yeah. I guess they're just saying that Auburn's a little bit better than Vanderbilt. Um, or no, Vanderbilt's a little bit better than
Yeah,
Auburn. I guess. Hey,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Vandy has improved. Vandy has improved. I will say that they
right,
beat Virginia
right,
Tech.
right.
The Fighting Hunters, number 12, Ole Miss, goes to Columbia to play South Carolina at 3:30 on ESPN. The Fighting Hunters, the Ole Miss Rebels, are favored by 9. It was a tough out last week against Kentucky. Can they bounce back, JP? What do you think?
I gotta tell you, that is a trap game
Yeah,
for the Fighting Hunters.
yeah,
That spread scares the piss out of me if I'm the Ole Miss Fighting Hunters.
yeah. Transitive
Uh,
Property says that South Carolina is going to win because South Carolina beat Kentucky, who beat Ole Miss.
yeah, I'm going to South Carolina in that game.
Okay, okay. I'm going to stick with the Fighting Hunters. I think they bounce back. We'll see. We'll see though.
We will find out what they're made of this
Yeah,
week for sure. I
yeah.
think that this will be a game that's going to decide, potentially how when do we play Ole Miss?
Late in the season.
Late in the season?
Yeah,
Okay. It could give us a trend line because like if we can get them in a spot where, they would be on the verge of being pretty much eliminated if they lose to South Carolina and then lose to us, like I feel
yeah.
like that they could potentially be on the verge of elimination by the time they get to us if they lose to South Carolina. So
It's November 9th. We play them. They're between Florida and Tennessee is when we play Ole Miss.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I will say South Carolina has been a tough place to play this year. I
that's a
mean,
that's a tough
yeah,
place. Yeah,
yeah. All right.
can't
The
stand Columbia. Sorry,
so hot there.
sorry, Chuck.
Seriously. Our favorite Gamecock.
My
Um,
favorite.
let's see. Number 4, Tennessee is favored by 13.5 at Arkansas. That's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Uh,
That's an
went
interesting line.
yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty favorable line for anybody that's looking to actually grab something. Like if I was a gambler, I'd be putting my money on that one because I feel like Tennessee's going to win that one big.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I'll take the balls there. Uh, this one is interesting. Central Florida at Florida, 7:45 p.m. SEC Network. Uh, UCF is favored by 3.
So explain it to me like I'm 5. Like if they lose by more than 3, like
What does so okay? So you're wanting to know like how that line gets applied in gambling.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when it says UCF -3, so you could think of it this way: it's easier to flip it around and say Florida's +3. So as far as gambling goes, if you were to bet on that game, if you're betting on the line, the game starts instead of 0-0, would give 3 more points to Florida. So it's like Florida starts the game up 3-0. So So UCF has to win by more than 3 to quote win the bet if you picked UCF against the spread.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Given that spread, I would take Florida in that one.
You take Florida.
Yeah.
There are only 2 L's currently in Florida. Um,
Yes.
I think by
Florida.
I think by the end of Saturday, there's going to be 3. I'm taking the Knights.
Okay.
And last one,
The
number
question, the question there, and part of my rationale on picking Florida there is because I feel like that if they lose to UCF, that Billy he may get fired after that game.
you want them to survive until the cocktail
I
party.
want I want him to survive for
Well,
forever.
forever. True. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I need him to do just enough to like maybe get to a bowl game and then that they're like, okay, we got great momentum for the season. We're gonna keep him around.
Yeah. True. True. So this is interesting on the scheduling note because we get mad about 12 p.m. kickoffs. The only intra-conference top 25 matchup: number 9 Missouri at number 25 Texas A&M, 12 p.m. kickoff, which I think is 11 local, or even earlier. It's what time zone is that? But so noon on ABC Eastern.
Intro.
So and A&M is favored. A&M's number 25, Missouri's number 9. A&M is favored by 2 points. Um, who do you got here?
I mean, I'm going with A&M, but I'm going to get on a soapbox about this whole BS. Like, this is a game that would be 7:30 with Ron Franklin, like playing that music, that intro music from from Hasty's history.
Yeah,
Like this game should never in a million years be played at 12 p.m. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this.
I'm, yeah, it is. I mean, it's because of Fox. Fox put all this money into that big noon kickoff, and now ABC wants to keep eyeballs on their network and not on Fox, and so they're trying to match it. So that's the real reason behind it. And
I
Fox,
guess.
the big noon kickoff does like crazy, like that was a gamble that paid off big time for Fox. Like it has done huge numbers for them. So
Hmm.
it was like an untapped into window. There weren't big games at that timeline, so people weren't watching as much, and so they're putting these big games there, and they're getting huge numbers. It's done really well.
I'm curious. I'm curious to know like how these noon games with these like highly ranked opponents and things like that, like how are those faring for, ESPN, for example?
Yeah.
Number one, the crews on those big games are on these like who's the crew on that game? Like
Well, I'll say, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I know like, we're at the 3:30 and we don't have like the main crew. Um, I would
but
assume
the
it's
main
not like Herb Street in Fowler
yeah, yeah, like that's
because
what I'm saying.
Herb
Like
Street can't go from game day to go
right,
call a 12
that's what I'm
o'clock game. So
saying.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like these games are not like
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me. So you get a subpar crew. I also like culturally speaking, like I feel like that the Southeast has been like I don't know. I would be very curious to know like what the ratings are like on these games versus the Big Ten games because I feel like
mm,
culturally speaking, like the Northeast, Midwest, like it's just a different culture up there.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like that in the South, we like these big games at night. We like
yeah,
them at 3:30. We like them at 3:30. We like them at 6 o'clock. We like them at 7. Like, yeah. Like
yeah.
give it to us in the later afternoon because like and this is why I say like culturally, like when you're talking about a 12 o'clock kickoff in September for or October or whatever, like in like in Florida or
Hmm.
in College Station, in Georgia, in freaking the surface of the sun, Columbia. Like
Yeah,
these are miserable games for people, and it's not fun. Like
yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
anyway,
I mean, I agree. I agree. I'm just answering the question why. I can look into what the numbers are. I do know though the Georgia Alabama game last week did insane numbers. Like it was like the most watched college football game in like a long time. So
yeah,
it did numbers.
shocking,
Yeah, shocking. Yeah, you put
shocking.
you put that game on. It was on network TV at night. Top 5 matchup. So yeah, shocking. All right. So you said you're taking A&M.
I'm taking A&M there. Yeah,
Okay.
I think Missouri gets exposed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go Missouri, but I think that actually should be a pretty good game. So,
I mean,
um,
the spread indicates that it is.
yeah. So I'll be watching that on the TV in Motown. So
I haven't been paying too much attention to these teams, but I do remember hearing Missouri was like a dark horse.
yeah, yeah. And then but they've struggled. I mean, shoot, they should have lost to Vanderbilt, right? I think so. All right. All right. Well, that's what we got. Um, so I'll be there. We're going. Like I said, Kim and I and Lily are gonna head down. Uh, Head over with Frip Dog and Panda. Uh, my first trip into
When are you
the
coming
into the
down?
classic city. We're gonna head down on Friday. Yeah, so we'll
Friday.
be there.
Okay.
We'll get down there like late. Yeah, we'll head down after work, basically.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Tell you'll have to tell Flip Dog. Are you guys gonna do are you gonna is I wonder if is Belding gonna be there? Is he gonna get a preview of Ponda's famous bean dip?
Yeah, the thing what he was talking about, I think he was saying my brother-in-law is gonna make it for they have a band thing going on.
That's right.
It's
That's
like
right.
Georgia, Texas. I will say I don't know 100%, but I do know like my sister, like they can't come this weekend. I think that's because of band obligations, high school band obligations, which would mean Brett's in the same boat because their kids are in the high school band together. So I think my guess is no. Brett, let us know.
Yeah, let us know, Brett. Um, yeah.
But yeah, no,
You
I'm looking forward to
gonna
it. I
is the tailgate gonna get blessed with the OG recipe?
Good question. Good question. Yeah, we have been known to show up on North Campus, toting the bean dip. I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see.
It's what the people want, Joe.
So here's the thing though. I have been I've got to figure out where Kim and I are doing our run on Saturday because we don't have to go for a run
You
for the
do you
rest of my
want
life.
do you want my recommendation?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Drive over to the Morris Hall area, find a parking spot
Mhm.
downtown, super early in the morning. I
Yeah,
mean, I when I did mine, I think it was like 5 a.m. or something like that. But I
yeah.
know you probably don't want to get up that early, but that is a possibility.
Okay.
There's nobody there, and it is a very unique experience to run around an empty, like absolutely just dead empty um, parking situation on a game day.
Yeah,
The lights are on. The lights are usually on. At least the lights were on when I went at the stadium, and just run around campus. I did a loop. I did a loop around campus, and it was great. And I scheduled it so that I would end right around Morris Hall Tate situation.
yeah.
And as I was running by Tate, I ran into Hug Dog that was
That's
waiting in
right.
line
That's right.
for to set up. So you may get a preview, and you could probably beat the guys that are trying to wait for the parking to get the first crack at it.
Okay, noted. Kim is more of an early riser than I am. But I will float the suggestion. I'll float the suggestion. Although, well, based on what I just said, like I'm the one that has to be convinced. But I don't know. So I'll check with her. I like the
Yes.
idea. We did talk about that about where we're gonna do that, so we got to figure that out.
It's definitely a unique experience because
Yeah,
you get a big dichotomy. Not to mention the fact that it's a lot cooler.
yeah. Well, true, true, true. All right, cool, man. Good deal. Well,
Awesome.
like I've said, this game should be later in the season, but it is what it is. uh,
It is what
Homecoming,
it is.
Auburn never, this is where we're at in college football, where we're playing Alabama and Auburn in back-to-back weeks, and Auburn is the homecoming game. Like, it's so weird. Like, what is going on?
I'll take
Uh,
it though.
yeah,
I'll be watching. I'll be watching. I may, depending on what the weather looks like. I need to check it out. Check that out. It's starting to get to be drag the TV outside for a fire
yeah.
situation. So I'm really hoping that we can get there quickly because I'm kind of over this. I'm kind of over this heat.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Cool. Well,
Awesome. Well, you
enjoy your home
guys,
viewing. Enjoy your home
yeah,
viewing.
yeah, you guys enjoy. I'll be looking to live vicariously, Jim, including your run at 5 a.m. if you go.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so just keep us posted and go dogs.
We'll do. Go dogs.